Why did I move here? I guess you could say it was the weather. Or maybe it's just that thing you do when you finally get into Formula 1.
Finally. Let's do this for real. Sorry it took so long. You know what these legal types are like? Yes, sir. No, sir. Here's 80 pages of needless jargon, sir. Anyway, believe it or not, this is my excited face. Come on. Let me show you what we've got. So, all the usual stuff. Merchandising, likeness, blah, blah, blah. But the really juicy stuff is their expectation of you. They need you to challenge yourself all season, be the best you can be, dominate your teammate, become a legend. All that jazz. Now, it's over to you.
And as I look down at this contract, my first in Formula 1, my mind goes back to how we got here. Here we go, fiery lights, and we are underway. Our Formula 2 career begins. We're defending the inside, but we've overcooked it. We've absolutely cooked it deep. And Paul Chair has got the switchback. We're trying to come back at him though. This is amazing stuff as we get the nose in, wheel to wheel, through the next long right-hander. We're neck and neck, side by side, nearly banging tyres with our teammate. And we're both committed to the inside. It's 3 abreast, 2 Premers on the outside, the ART on the left. But it's Ollie Behrman with the double pass to get up into second place. Can we come back at him though? We're going to dive down the inside, absolutely launch it. The tyres are screaming out to no end here. But this is going to be a fantastic final sector. Behrman, look at him go on the outside. I plant the power, but he's got the better traction on the outside. This is unbelievable racing here in the F2 prologue. Myself and Ollie Behrman, nothing separates us. Ferrari v McLaren in essence. And in the final corner, we go mid deep and Behrman comes through. It's going to be a photo finish, neck and neck. Oh, unbelievable. And just thinking we can't get the championship, let's at least get our first F2 race win in the finale. A real big send on Paul Chair on the inside. We are going to take our first Formula 2 race victory here in Abu Dhabi. It won't be the championship, but it's a great way to end our F2 campaign.
And they've won the team's championship. Utterly brilliant. Such a small group of people that can work on these Formula 2 cars, and the driver is the hero of the day for that team.
That was our F2 story prologue for the F1 24 career mode, and now it is time to begin our journey into Formula 1. We have done what every junior driver hopes to do, and do well enough in the junior categories. Formula 2 to get yourself in the shop window for Formula 1. We were in the McLaren Driver Academy, and we have all the options available to us, but there is only one choice for us, and it is McLaren. They put their faith in us for the Driver Academy, and we put our faith in them that they are the best team to start our Formula 1 career with. And alongside no one better for myself than Lando Norris, my IRL Quadrant teammate and boss. He will be our first teammate in the F1 24 career mode. But before we delve into the ins and outs of being a brand new McLaren driver on the grid, it's actually time to just get the finer details and sign on the dotted line for that first F1 contract of ours. So this is the new layout for contracts in the driver career mode in F1 24. You can see the overall rating of ourselves is tied in with so much importance to this contract. You know, for the first time, we the player can get an overall rating. I'm rated 74 because of what I did in my F2 career. So if you're wondering, it is worth doing Formula 2 if you want to start off with a higher overall rating, but that does come then with added pressure because my set target for a rating now can go higher to a maximum of 83. I'm recommended to go for 78. I reckon it would be a bit of a failure of a first season in Formula 1 if we didn't get to 80. You know, I remember that, you know, unfortunately the man I've replaced at McLaren, Piastri, you know, he started off the F1 games lower than 80, but then by the time he finished that rookie season in the F1 game, he was upgraded to over 80 overall. So I think that's a good baseline to aim for, at least 80 in our rookie Formula 1 season. Right now at the start of the game for our first ever contract, we can't go any higher than a 1-season contract, but later on in the game we can put our faith and loyalty into a team if we so wish for higher rewards and for a multi-year contract. But for now it's a 1-season contract with McLaren and Zach Brown. We hold to sign, and we are now officially a Formula 1 driver. And with that comes living the life of a driver, the glitz, the glamour, and a brand new house, of course, to house all our previous trophies, helmets and such from junior careers, and hopefully we'll be adding to that trophy cabinet with our own Formula 1 trophies and accolades. As we're now introduced to the new career hub, the focus being on ourselves and our overall rating, just trying to emphasize how important it is to try and grow our overall rating. We've got some emails to look into. New teammate rivalry has begun with Lando Norris, of course. Andrea Stella has emailed us to welcome us into the team, and then Mark has returned as our engineer, of course, from previous Formula 1 games. So let's take a little look around and see what's new in the career hub.
Your specialists are a team of experts that will be working with us part-time to maximize your research and development within the team. They will offer you goals to complete each race weekend. Completing these goals will increase your relationship level with a specialist. When that level increases, you'll get perks that improve their area of R&D. You can see each specialist's title and current level here, as well as a message stating whether they have some goals available. Selecting a specialist will take you to a details screen where you can view their perks and goals. When you're ready, select an available specialist to see what they are offering you.
So that's the all-new specialist area. I'm so glad that we've got a whole entire new section of this career hub with new UI, new characters to look at and to interact with, and lots of things to delve into to try and, you know, energize our development.
Welcome to your contracts hub. Here, you'll be able to view your current contract and all the information relating to it. To start, you can see all the base information for your current contract, your target rating, your current rating, and more. In this main area, you'll find a graph that tracks your rating each race. It will also display your target, so you can see how far off you are. Obviously, we haven't raced yet, so there's no data. Be sure to come back and check this after each race weekend.
A new area of the driver details menu, contract performance, and again, kind of emphasizing how important it is to try and meet our targets. You know, we've got a baseline of 70 overall. You know, we'd have to lose 4 to lose our seat in Formula 1. Hopefully that's never going to happen, but the target we set ourselves is important because we have to try and meet it. That'll give us the biggest immediate rewards at the end of the season, but also really put us on a good path for building our career.
Here, you can review your recognition information. You will see a comparison between you and your teammate, as well as any bonus you have applied. Below that, you can see a list of your current perks that come with your recognition level, so you can unlock more and really push the development of the car.
Recognition on this game is a massive thing. You can see, you know, when we get to 35% recognition in the team, we unlock our first secret upgrade. We've got simultaneous upgrades, rushing, all these perks that we can only unlock by being recognized in the team.
Review your current contract target and set something lower if you're struggling. The team won't take this lightly, though, and you will struggle to improve your recognition this season. But it's better than potentially getting fired. This option will only be available when you're below your target rating.
And going back to that rating then, we can actually review the contract and change it, but that is pretty much the last resort if we don't think we're going to get there, basically. So ideally, we want to try and meet those targets. We've also got the accolades, of course, that will be also just gaining throughout our entire career. So it'll be quite nice to look at the stats, because I know some of you guys get really nerdy about the stats in our career mode as we go on through the seasons. Rivalries are now a bigger thing in this year's game.
Across your career, you will always be compared against your teammate in a few different ways. Teammate battles are ongoing rivalries with rewards given every race weekend based on performance. Close points tallies can trigger a championship narrative rivalry. This compares your own points tally with your rivals, with the goal of outscoring them by a significant margin to win. Rewards are given upon completion. If your ratings are close to another driver, it can trigger driver ratings rivalry. The goal is to achieve a big gap over your rival. Rewards are given upon completion. Each rivalry has an intensity level. At key moments throughout the season, this may increase for one or more rivalries. A higher intensity level means you'll need to do more to win, but you'll earn more rewards.
So right now, we've obviously only got a rivalry with our teammate, because that's the first yardstick for you in Formula 1, but I'm excited to see what kind of different narratives we're going to get as we go on through this entire career series.
This graph will show you how your driver ratings are evolving throughout your career in F1. Upwards, I hope. Your current stats are visible on the right. Each has been color-coded to match a line on the graph. Progress will update after each race weekend, and you can view both the present season as well as past ones. Finally, at the bottom of the screen, you can see a description of each rating and what you need to do in order to improve each of them.
And if it wasn't clear before how important your overall rating is as a driver with the contract, well, for the very first time, we've got a brand new graph, which is very similar looking to the R&D chart. This graph just maps our overall. So this will be quite cool in a few seasons' time to see that progression of us as a driver from 74 rating as we go on through. And of course, we were even lower than that. We were 70 when we started our F2 career. And as we go into the familiar R&D section of the menu, what is different this time round is our AI teammate can purchase their own upgrades, and especially because Lando is higher recognized than me, he will be gaining more R&D points naturally as we go on through practice programs, etc. So he will probably have a bigger say in what upgrades come to this McLaren car, and we can actually see by clicking one button, we can see what upgrades I've bought and what upgrades he's bought. So there will be a direct comparison to see, well, who's slacking basically and who's actually doing the most work for the team. But we're going to go back to the specialist now and delve into that for the very first time.
Each specialist will have perks that match their area of expertise. As you improve your relationship with a specialist, you'll gain access to the corresponding perk. You can also select which of the available goals you would like for the upcoming race weekend. You can change your choice at any time from here or at the track before entering the first session of the weekend. After entering the first session, your selected goal will be locked in.
So two pretty simple goals to kick things off: complete the race weekend or participate in 3 sessions during the race weekend. I'll just go for completing the race weekend. That seems pretty easy. This will unlock us failure rate upgrades.
You can see your selected goals and can view this during the weekend. After the race, you'll get a rundown of which goals you passed or failed and any progress made towards each specialist's level. If you fail a goal, you'll lose progress, so pick goals you're confident in completing. In short, don't get greedy. So as Elena said, it's important not to get too ambitious with our goals, but right now they're pretty realistic and we'll be seeing other characters to interact with as we go on through this career. But now it's time to go to the track and go to our new motorhome here in McLaren. The team are raring to go. I am raring to go, and that man right there is also ready alongside me across the desk. Myself and Lando stepping in for our first season together as F1 teammates. We know how well these boys and girls have been doing for McLaren in real life, absolutely cooking with the car upgrades, and hopefully the same will be said in the game. But the focus now is to myself, trying to find my feet with this very different handling model on F1 24.
The long wait is over. This is it, a brand new season. And before the show gets well and truly underway, we've got the all-important matter of a free practice session. It's great to be back. So much unknown before we get underway. So what will be going through the drivers' minds as they get ready for the new season?
The faster you can work around the circuit conditions and get the car tailored to your liking, the better, and then you can just focus on the job in hand in terms of lap times. But first of all, you've got to get the car feeling right.
And I think that's going to take a little while here on this brand new F1 game, because as we have said in the preview content, yes, F1 24's handling is very, very different to F1 23. I do have some great news, by the way, though. There is going to be a patch down the road to fix a lot of the concerns that myself, other creators, esports drivers, etc. have been vocalizing to Codemasters and EA. Very much like back in 2022 when there was a post-launch handling update. There will be a post-launch handling update coming. I'm not too sure when, but it will be coming down the line, so that will alleviate some of the, glaring problems with the unrealistic points of the handling. There are some nice points to the handling, like I've said before in the preview content, high speed. I really do enjoy the car. It feels really stable. It's just at lower speeds, it does feel a little bit odd. And in that kind of regard, obviously you guys know me, I always like to come to the new F1 game, come to the new game cycle with, positivity. Let's start off the game cycle at least hoping to enjoy a new F1 game. So for me, I'm taking it with a bit of grain of salt of, yes, the handling is massively different. In many ways, this is quite nice. Coming back to the driver career mode, the focus is on me as an individual driver trying to navigate my career in Formula 1. I really am going to be like a proper rookie to this career. Like, I'm going to feel so odd in this car for a couple of races, I think, trying to learn the ropes of the handling in a similar way to F2 drivers need to learn the ropes of what can be a very different kind of challenge of driving a Formula 1 car compared to F2 or anything they've driven beforehand. So, in many regards, it's going to give us a real true rookie experience, because I think versus Lando Norris, I'm going to really struggle. Like, I hear out the concerns from some saying that maybe McLaren is too good of a team to start off the career mode with. I disagree, though, in terms of actually just learning the handling model and versus a very good teammate like Lando. This is actually in many ways a bigger challenge of I am going to get shown up. Like, recognition wise, it's going to be very tough to get recognized in this career mode and build that asset, and that's something we need if we want to get better contracts in the future and eventually build our career to a point where we are, a legend in this sport. And it all starts here with our rookie F1 debut. Practice programs all done. Now it's time for the business portion of this video. It's our first ever qualifying on F1 24 career mode.
Well, as the sun goes down, the speeds go up. It's almost time to get underway for this shootout for the fastest time and the best possible grid position for tomorrow's race. Let's get on with it. It's qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Helmet on, and it is time to go. There is going to be no hiding in these sessions. This is where we really find out where we stand in this initial first race weekend with the handling, with our pace versus our teammate first of all, then others around us, of course. And for the first time, because we can access all the different ERS modes in every session on the qualifying lap, we now obviously have it on hot lap mode, which is obviously what we're doing. We're doing a hot lap in qualifying, but now there's going to be some tactical use of the overtake button, and I think that's at least one thing that we do have the advantage maybe on the AI. I don't know how much the AI use the overtake button in the qualifying lap, but that's certainly something you need to think about yourselves if you're playing at home, using overtake mode during the qualifying lap to maximize that speed on the straights or just, acceleration out of certain zones. And the only caveat to that, I would say, is on last year's F1 game, I actually really enjoyed doing 2 laps in a row sometimes on one set of soft tyres. It brought the fuel down in some circuits and just got me into a rhythm. But now, if you use overtake mode on the first lap, you now don't have the battery for the next lap. Very much like in real life, drivers have to recharge and then go again. So in that way, it's quite realistic, but means you can't do a banzai 2 laps in a row. But obviously, that's the sacrifice you make by deploying extra battery on the first flying lap. So in terms of Q1, well, success. We got through into Q2. I was genuinely worried I might be that slow, and to be honest, looking at the times, we are still pretty slow. We are 7/10 off Lando Norris's time there, so we've certainly got some time to find. And obviously, as we go on through the lap, we are getting comfier and comfier with the handling model, so hopefully there will be a bit of time to find here in Q2. And it's really for me about trying to find how much I can really push the curbs, the turning, because all of that is so different right now as it stands compared to last year's game, where you can be that much more aggressive with the turning, with the curb riding. which is, to be fair, a topic that's come up in real-life F1 as well, with Red Bull's lack of curb riding ability compared to Ferrari and McLaren. So in the game, it's the same thing of getting used to that curb riding. But also equally then other areas like braking as well, with the new engine braking in the setup, trying to get that fine-tune, you know, how aggressive can you go with engine braking and not be an issue of oversteer, because if you increase the engine braking, it can kick the rear out like that. Wow, unbelievable. I was talking about kicking the rear out, and I did it just then and there as we started our second flying lap. Yeah, the rear locked, and that was just me getting a bit too audacious on the brakes, I think. So we've aborted that lap. Thankfully, we can set the ERS to none and go again, basically, and save the battery for the second time. But now the tyres aren't in a great shape, and we oversteer into the corner still, and a bit of understeer as well into the next section. So we're still 4/10 nearly down on our first flying lap, and this was meant to be the improvement to try and solidify our place into the top 10 shootout, because right now we are P7, to be fair, ahead of Lando currently, but others will be going quicker, just as they did in Q1, and we know from previous F1 games the AI always speed up quite a lot at the end of the sessions. We've gone purple in the middle sector, and despite that, we didn't go any quicker on that lap, because my first sector was so bad, and the last sector wasn't that great either. And ultimately, those mistakes, those rookie mistakes creeping in, have cost us a top 10 shootout spot. Lando Norris is through in P5. Usual suspects of Red Bull, Ferrari through as well. Mercedes, the Aston Martins both make it through. And Bottas in the Kick Sauber, at my expense, really, it feels like, has made his way through. But he's in P7 ahead of Carlos Sainz and Perez, to be fair. So he's done a really outstanding job anyway in that pretty slow Kick Sauber car in real life. But in the game, maybe a little bit quicker than they are in real life. But yeah, P11. I mean, it's best of the rest outside the top 10, so we have one, you know, new set of softs we could use for the race start. So in many ways, you know, if I was to go into the top 10 shootout and just qualify P10, it's actually better to be a P11 with a new set of tyres. But that's me, you know, trying to find the silver lining. And yeah, here you go for the first time then, that teammate rivalry. Look at me over there. I look depressed, okay? And Lando, well, he looks a bit creepy, I can't lie, but he looks pretty happy with himself. So yeah, this is what I mean. I think we're going to be seeing behind rival quite a fair few times in this season, unfortunately, with Lando Norris, but we're going to have to see. It is our first race, our first qualifying, but I'm a little bit frustrated we didn't get through into Q3, because the McLaren should get into the top 10 shootout, but that's what I'm saying. We are really a rookie when it comes to this new F1 game, because the handling is so different, and there's going to be a lot of learning to do rapidly in this episode, in the race, and then obviously going into the next few episodes. But let's go then to the grid for our very first career mode race.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Russell, Stroll, Bottas, a McLaren, Ocon, Albon, Joe, Gasly, Sargent, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And alongside me today, a man small in stature but big on comment, Anthony Davidson. Hello. Now, it's a new season, plenty of new opportunities, but I think I'm going to start with a question we may have asked last year as well. Can anyone stop Max Verstappen?
That's what they're hoping for. And that's what we're hoping for as well in some ways, because we don't want to see just one driver or one team running away with it this season like we had last year or even the years gone by in this sport. Can we get to see a two-way or even a 3- or 4-way fight throughout this race today? Fingers crossed we'll get that.
So if you were paying attention to that grid sequence there, you would have seen that Lando's gone even further to assert his recognition and dominance in this team. He's managed a fantastic third place on the grid for this first race of this season on the second row alongside a Ferrari just behind the all front row of the Red Bulls. No surprise there, although at some point I imagine there might be some disparity between Perez and Verstappen's performances in this season. We've chosen to at least take advantage of not making it into Q3 by having a brand new set of soft tyres for the start of this race, as does everyone else behind me. Ahead of us in the top 10, a few medium tyre runners, a few soft runners, so we'll see how that tyre wear, goes for those on older softs and also the medium tyre. It's looking like a two-stop here, and maybe all three compounds used. We're going to have to see, but this just really shows the pace difference, the performance difference of ourselves as an F1 rookie versus Lando Norris, a man well established in this team and in this sport. So we've got work to do, but we're warming up the tyres and the grid is going to be set for this very first race of ours in our Formula 1 career on F1 24. It's all built up to this, and the time has come to look ahead to 5 little red lights for the first time in Formula 1. Lights out and away we go for the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's a slow one for us as we don't get off the line. The initial bite point was good, but we've been absolutely swamped by more experienced drivers around us. Albon ahead of us in the Williams, Gasly on the outside, Zhou Guanyu on the inside, hops the curb, and the Sauber comes into our side. And thankfully no damage for us, but we are down in P14. We've been swallowed up by the F1 grid, it would seem, as Zhou Guanyu dives it down the inside, and it's all feeling quite overwhelming in the cockpit, I must say, as the AI were incredibly aggressive and straight on us for that poor start and getaway, as we're going to try and get back down the inside of Zhou Guanyu at least. But it's not going to be an easy case of getting the elbow out and seeing him back off as he keeps his foot planted to the floor. He was even all 4 wheels on the curb and still accelerating, and that's something we saw in the preview content as well, that quite promisingly the AI seem very willing to keep their foot in even if they are slightly squeezed off circuit. But where have I seen that poor start before? Oh yeah, wait, it happened to us in our first F2 race in the story prologue episode. It's actually uncanny how similar of a start we had in that first F2 race, in this first F1 race. In a similar way, the AI swarmed us either side to get us into turn 1. So as a driver, unfortunately, that might be an attribute we have at the moment, is poor starts. Hopefully we can work on that as we go on through and, just learn maybe the best bite point and RPM range as we now try to make amends, at least get back up to P14. We couldn't quite make the move on lap 1 on Zhou Guanyu, but we're in the slipstream. He's tucked up behind Gasly, so we're going to use that to open up the door for us at turn 1. You can see also, by the way, constantly you'll be noticing through this race, I am flicking through ERS modes, so keep an eye out on the right hand side. You'll see the ERS mode generally into corners going to none or medium, and then on the exit maybe going up to overtake mode for a slight moment with ERS, or going to hot lap mode. And, still sussing that out. I'm by no means an expert of it right now, but at the moment I was figuring in this race that probably the best thing to do is go none or medium into corners, especially into slower ones, go to none to really try and harvest energy. And then out the corners, like we could on the previous F1 games, use the overtake mode button to just get that proper max boost, but also playing around with hot lap and seeing if that aids us a bit. But initially it seems like the AI are very, very good out of the corners. They're getting that great launch. You can see the way Gasly pulls away. That's also because I am micromanaging and constantly trying to harvest into corners, maybe to my detriment a little bit. There is something to be said about maybe just keeping it a one mode, but I'm trying to really maximize the harvest, which is the yellow bar, the total energy we have, the green being what we can deploy on the lap as we absolutely send it on Gasly. We lock the rear up, little bit of contact made as we get a little bit hairy on the rear end, but we make it work. We style it out for P13. Gasly comes back at us though. We're on none ERS, trying to harvest desperately as our yellow bar is hardly filled as we began that lap, and we defend so hard from Gasly that he's actually actually now been overtaken by Joe Guan Yu, but of course, Gasly isn't that very heavy Alpine car, so he should be getting by him, and the Sauber should be attacking him as well, to be fair. It's very early days in this race, I'm sure, and just like a real F1 rookie, you know, we need some time to get used to things and find some speed. But at the moment, Lando Norris is absolutely showing us up. And this is really, really showing that lack of pace that we have right now in this game, because Norris is in second place. He's actually managed to get Perez somewhere in the opening 3 laps. But lap 4, Perez comes back at him with DRS open. Surprise, surprise, Verstappen with a healthy margin ahead and outside of DRS as Lando tries to fight that for P2, and behind the 2 Mercedes cars are now going to scrap together. Russell on the inside for the second turn. Hamilton still there on the outside. The 2 Silver Arrows slowing each other up to the point where there's a 4-second gap to this pack, and look at that, 3 abreast now. Fernando bloody Alonso, the wily old fox, he makes a double pass on the 2 fighting Mercs, and I think there was a bit of carbon fiber flying off there. I think one of the Mercedes cars has damage now, so the 2 Mercs getting proper aggressive in this first race of the season. Let's look at a replay then. This is the onboard from Russell, who gets back down the inside of Hamilton. That's Alonso going round the outside, but the Merc here is going to make contact, and there you go. There is a bit of front wing damage for Russell, who actually is ahead of Hamilton though, so he's going to hold him up basically. But what a move for Fernando Alonso there. Double overtake for Alonso's AI in the first race of the season and the entire series, no less, as we watch our teammate Lando Norris get the move done on Perez. Maybe not quite. Perez still there on the inside. Lando's actually chosen to start on an old set of soft tyres, so maybe he's facing some tyre wear. That's inviting pressure from Perez and the Ferrari. And back to our POV, we're trying to apply our own pressure to Albon in the Williams car. DRS open for both of us. Overtake mode down to none. Gonna try a little dive around the outside. Can we dance this round on the left? We've gone very deep, and Albon comes at us and slams the door shut very nicely on us. Nice to see some dynamic fighting going on. And ahead of us, the Mercs are still squabbling, so much so that we've joined this huge train. But now, for the very first time in our F1 career, we have an in-race objective. We saw this in the F2 prologue, and now for the first time in the F1 race, we have it here. So we've got an objective of keeping the total fuel above 37.36 kg. Right now, 45.3. Now, we can't change fuel modes in the race, so this is more about lifting, coasting maybe, and using a bit more battery to help us out with the acceleration. But also at the same time, look at the tyre wear. I had a new set of softs, and my front left is 34%, rear left is 37%, the right hand side of the car not as worn, so there's an imbalance of tyre wear there, and that's also what the AI will be feeling as well. So just showing on this year's game, tyre wear is a massive factor. You really wear out the tyres a lot more, and it's going to come down to you trying to smoothen out your driving if you want the tyres to last. Just like in real life, the drivers have to learn how to make the tyres last. Away from the tyres, the focus is on the fuel objective, which is actually going to come back at us at the end of the race, by the way. Ominous, ominous signs to get that objective. But I'm also focusing on the fight going on ahead of us, because I think that's an Alpine of Ocon struggling to get past the Mercedes of Russell with that damage, and that's holding us all up and really bunching us up and allowing me to have a little bite at Albon there as we went really tight at the apex to get the nose turned in. We're sticking with Albon through the next section and gaining confidence to be this aggressive, to get down the inside and get the move on the Williams finally up into P12. Still no points paying position, but ahead of us, that Merc with the damage, Russell, that's a big opportunity for us because Russell is really, really slow. Stroll's going to come in, but he's slowing up Bottas, and I think that Alpine of Ocon ahead as Bottas tries to follow Ocon through on the left-hand side. We're gaining on Bottas now. We might even have a look as we're going to catch Bottas unawares on the inside. And you can kind of tell now as we're getting on through the laps, I'm getting more and more confident with the front end of this car, trying to point it to where we want it to and hoping the car follows it as we have a look round the outside. Oh, really having to dab the throttle to try and control it, but a brilliant little move round the outside then into that downhill section to get up into P10. It's a points-paying position for the first time, albeit with out-of-sync people in the pit stops, as Lando is now in for his stop. We will go longer because we have a new set of soft tyres, but not too much longer because it'll be lap 9 only. So just showing again, Lando, the more experienced driver, doing a better job at eking out the soft tyres compared to myself with still some learning to do. Look at the icon on the right-hand side, orange icon, which generally in the past on F1 games has meant that you really need to pit very soon, otherwise you're going to be falling off the cliff. Is ahead of us though, we're seeing some brilliant squabbling going on with Ocon and Russell. The Mercedes obviously limping around with front wing damage, and so it's kind of equalizing that pace. Russell slowing up Ocon though, and this is the opportunity to maybe make a move. We don't go for the inside. Ocon covers off the inside. Instead, we go to the outside and we get the traction there. Really good bit of work to dance the car round Ocon's outside, but unfortunately I have failed our first objective in the race of saving that fuel. Very difficult to, I feel, without any fuel loads as we get a little bit crossed up on the curb. And that's my time and sign to come in for a pit stop. We follow Russell in, and to be honest, everyone and their mother comes in as well behind me, basically. But yeah, we failed that fuel objective, and that will be ominous signs for us at the end of this Grand Prix. But we'll get to that. Right now, though, we've got other issues. No! It's a tyre stop problem. The tyre just didn't want to go on. It's a 4.4 stop, which is just painfully slow, really, considering how good McLaren are in real life at the pit stops. So we're down. We've been re-overtaken by Zhou Guanyu in the pit lane, and we're down P17. We're down to P17. Unbelievable. We've been put in the deep end here. This really, honestly, this is probably the first time in a long, long while at the start of an F1 game cycle and a new F1 game that I genuinely feel like a rookie and that I am just getting cooked by these AI right now. Obviously, the pit stop error did not help our case, and that really energized me because now I'm raring to go. I really want to get this move done on Zhou Guanyu, riding the curb very aggressively as we go for the big dive and lunge, and we just about get that with the elbow out. He's on the hard tyre, we're on the medium, so we absolutely have to make that move. And ahead of us, Russell, he may have changed his front wing, but he's still looking pretty slow. So actually, to be fair, maybe he didn't change his front wing. Maybe Mercedes thought it wasn't worth changing his front wing because he's actually not keeping up with the Haas ahead of him. Hulkenberg on the soft compound. Maybe the hards just aren't working for him very well as we make the overtake on our fellow compatriot, and we overtake a Mercedes car up into P15. And now chasing after a whole gaggle of cars, including Hulkenberg on the softs. Not too sure if he's made a pit stop or what, but Albon ahead, then Bottas, who you can see just up the road, is really applying the pressure. So I think that's Pierre Gasly's Alpine. So the Sauber looking a bit quicker right now, and we're closing up to Hulkenberg, and I sense maybe quite a lot of action to come with 4 cars ahead of us that I really should be well and truly cars we can overtake, being in a McLaren, but obviously I'm still getting up to speed with things and trying to find confidence in myself in this handling model as Gasly and Bottas are fighting really quite intensely. They're holding each other up. Albon now maybe getting involved. It's 3 abreast ahead. Albon making the double pass maybe on Bottas and Gasly. We've gone round the outside to try and get Nico Hulkenberg, who slams the door shut and actually very nicely uses Gasly as a bit of a hurdle. So we're blocked by the Alpine car, and now we've got to try and overtake Gasly instead. On the outside, though, we've made this work beautifully before on Bottas, and we do it again. That's my new favourite overtaking spot. We squeeze out Gasly up to P14, but Hulkenberg, I'm impressed. He used Gasly really well to block me into turn 2. But I'm really hoping we can get the overtake done eventually, especially because Bottas seems to just be scrapping everyone so hard in what is, to be fair, a bit of a slower kick Sauber car, so he's trying his best to remain in the points contention because he's P11 right now, but I believe the 2 Visa Cash App RB cars of Ricciardo and Tsunoda are yet to pit in this race, so all of us will be gaining 2 positions eventually at some point. But right now, looking to get this move done on Hulkenberg, but again, Hulkenberg is going to use another car to block us off. He goes down the inside of Bottas. We're going to try and follow Bottas through in and this time we're not going to let Hulkenberg block us off for that move, but he does really well on the exit to still fight us on those soft tyres. So I think Hulkenberg actually is legitimately fighting us, and he's made a pit stop, and he's just on a better compound, of course. But now we've got another objective in this. Oh my god, look at that engine temperature. No wonder my team want me to avoid the engine staying above 150 degrees, because it was 146 or 7 just then as the objective came up. So that's very new. We have not seen that at all in any of the past F1 games, at least in the last 5 years to my memory, of actually having to manage the engine temperature and being told to actively manage the engine temperature, which obviously does affect performance. You know, we've seen that before on previous F1 games, even though there hasn't been any kind of management about it, that when you have an overheated engine, it does actually genuinely slow down your straight line speed. So we're going to try and actually do this and cool down this engine, and we're doing so. You can see we've brought it down to lower than 140, so we're going above and beyond to match this second objective, because we failed the first one. So thankfully we do match this second one, and quite nicely as we do it, we're also now going to try and overtake Valtteri Bottas. We get very, very close to the Finn, but also Albon's rear end, as we're locked into this battle with the Sauber and the Williams, it would seem. Albon gets away from us. Even with DRS, though, the Sauber's quicker as he uses more battery, I think, on the inside, but we are going to defend and remain in P10 for now. A second pit stop to come then on lap 17, so this is the final stint, and I've decided to go on to another set of medium tyres, because my original strategy was soft, medium, hards, using all three compounds. I don't know whether my team wanted me to do that just to get a feel of every compound, you know, in Formula 1, first race, you know, in the sport, but I thought, you know what, I reckon we could take the mediums a bit longer. I could have taken my softs longer, but we came in because, well, it's just the situation of it all. So let's see, and to be honest, the undercut seems so powerful as we go neck and neck and have to really work to squeeze out Gasly. And we've come out behind Bottas again. So the undercut, at least initially here from episode 1, undercut's very powerful. Even the AI are undercutting us, which is not something that happens often, to be honest, in previous F1 games. So yeah, we've chosen the mediums, very much different from F1 23, where I hated the mediums pretty much every single race we went to. I like that second stint. That second stint was a much faster and much better stint for us. So we're going to continue with it, basically. But the problem I have now is we get to the last 11 laps of this Grand Prix. We're gaining on Bottas. That's good. We're going to re-overtake him. But look at the fuel. We're negative on fuel. And you saw how difficult it was for me to match my objective of saving fuel earlier in the race. Well, now I've got my own objective of making it to the end of the race. Otherwise, we're going to have a very embarrassing moment. So we've overtaken Bottas there. We're on, obviously, the quicker compound than him and Albon. But even if I manage to overtake Albon here, I've then got to lift and coast. I've got to actively get off throttle, let the car slow itself down with the aerodynamics and the engine braking, and that's how we're going to save the fuel. But that's going to cost us lap time as we fake to the right, go to the outside to try and get this move done on Albon in the Williams up into P11. But I believe the two Visa Cash App RB cars are still to pit again. They're massively out of sync of the rest of us, because I think they started on the hard compound, I believe. So yeah, that's to come. So at the moment we could be looking at points in our very first race, but it's going to take a lot of work. We need to save the fuel, and then also my team set me an objective of an average lap time of a 132 dead, pretty much. So my team really don't care about my fuel issue at the moment. They just want me to set an average lap time of 132, although to be fair, a 132 I think would be slower than I'm going right now. So maybe my team are genuinely actually trying to encourage me to fuel save by going slower, because they know, because right now my time gap's actually 7/10. I'm going 7/10 quicker than a 130. Yeah, I just did a 131.4. So my team actually quite nicely at the right time, when I should be trying to save fuel and lifting coasting, they're telling me to slow down and bring my lap time down, and that would be, you know, via some lift and coast bases. So that's actually quite nicely worked out. I don't know if the team have actually told me that, you know, on purpose, or it's just a coincidence with the fuel saving needed right now. But quite nice to see as we're up into P10, by the way. We're up into P10. Sonoda pit. I think Ricciardo's got to pit next, so we are in the points, and Ricciardo's in the pits now as well. So we are going to get not only into the points, but P9 maybe, but we've got so much work to do still. Lap 23, we're into P9, but Albon is right behind us, and every single turn one we're having to defend as we lift off the throttle to try and save fuel early, and that just invites him to make a move. And then on the exit, the AI are really using their battery every single slow corner. They're accelerating so much better out of them as we go nearly 3 abreast for a moment there, as actually Bottas now is probably trying to use this battle I'm having with Albon to get through, and he actually has come through. Lap 24. Again, I mean, look how slow I am in that last corner. I'm just trying to save the fuel. And for the first time now, my fuel has got into the green section. And we now actually have DRS off Bottas. So to be fair, that might be the tactic as we fail. We failed the objective, but we at least, we do at least succeed in our own objective of trying to re-overtake Bottas there. And to be honest, that might be the vibe. Going slow and saving the fuel at the last corner, and on purpose going behind at least one car to then re-overtake them with DRS. But the problem is, here on this first DRS straight in Sector 1, they're constantly on me. I just cannot get the power out of that corner in the same way they can. Whether that's because they're overusing the battery there, and I'm saving most of my battery for the main straight to make sure that I can re-overtake them. That was a bit of a sketchy moment though. I locked up the rear end, and that was almost a bit of a T-bone collision into Bottas, but we do re-overtake him. But I've got no DRS actually. Both of them behind me do. Albon on the inside, Bottas on the outside. It's 3 wide into turn 1. We get pincered in, and we just manage to thread the needle on the 3rd last lap of this Grand Prix to remain in P9. But again, Bottas comes back at us on the inside. Again, we have to do some real hard work to defend. Now Bottas and Albon are side by side, and we can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief, but we've got 2 laps to go. This is going to be close. And on the 2nd last lap, Albon is really gunning for it. DRS in the middle sector here. He goes down the inside. We give him the room. Look at the icon on the right-hand side. Our mediums have now got into a high wear stage, and this is maybe why we're feeling so much pressure from behind, but we do well to get Albon off our rear end there as we went neck and neck up the hill. And now behind us, watch Bottas. He's going to really go for it. Go right to the inside. And those two are going to be side by side now to the final corner, and that will very nicely just give us a little bit of breathing room. And you can see the gap is now up to 0.8 of a second, 9, because also I may have been slow out of every slow corner, but that's because I've been saving so much battery to make sure we have some at the end here. So we use a lot of battery, and we get the gap to 1.2. It's 1.4 now, because everyone behind me just immediately on the last lap just started fighting. I mean, they're still going. Look at that behind. Unbelievable stuff there. None of this is for points, but apart from Albon, I guess, but they're all scrapping so much. And meanwhile, in a very sad sorry state, is George Russell in last place. And meanwhile, oh my god, Max Verstappen has already crossed the line. Shock horror, he's won the Bahrain Grand Prix.
That was simply lovely. Great start to the year, guys. Really good.
And it's going to be a 1-2 for Red Bull. Leclerc 3rd, Norris fighting Hamilton for P4. Lando just loses a top 4 finish on the last lap there. Hamilton gets him, and Lando at one point was fighting for P2. I think he's also really struggled for tyres, so maybe that's a McLaren thing in the game here, that the tyre wear is not too great, because I was struggling a little bit at the end of that race. And Lando, who was fighting for P2, only comes home in P5. I say only, I mean P5 to my P9, 15 seconds off the next car, which is Lance Stroll, is pretty huge. So yeah, it's very clear who the rookie is, but to be fair, I'm still pretty darn happy. P9, 2 points on the board. It's our first points in Formula 1, and we're immediately off the mark. But there is a long way to go with learning this new game, learning the handling, and trying to match Lando up there, fighting at 1 point for P2, but I'll take it. A good debut.
Smiling faces on the pit wall then after that superb win here at Sakir. And rightly so, a brilliant effort from the whole team.
Well, all that off-season work clearly paying off here today, Crofty. A brilliant way to start the season with a solid victory. It's a real good confidence boost as well, and you feel like that's going to really propel them forward through to the next race coming up.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they've secured here.
So, of course, just like in real life, Red Bull are going to be the team to beat starting off this career mode. But as we've seen time and time again, very nicely, in the F1 game at least, things can change very rapidly, not only in Season 1, but then definitely in future seasons as the R&D comes through. But this year, it's a bit different, you know, with the AI teammate able to make, you know, bigger decisions about upgrades, especially right now when Lando's definitely more senior than me. We're going to have to see where we can take this McLaren. But before we even get to the car, obviously I just need to hopefully find some more pace. And I'm sure I will, because even through that race, from lap 1 to the last lap, I felt way more comfortable at the end of the race than I did at the start. So it's just natural as you get, you know, time in the cockpit, time in the seat, that I will be getting better. But right now, we're 5 out of 6 behind Lando Norris there. So right now, very much asserting his dominance in the team. But it's a positive first race. We've gained some stats. We've gained experience, a lot of experience, of course, but racecraft has gone up. Awareness, pace, focus only a tiny bit. So, but it's still something. And so we're on our way towards maybe getting up to 76 rating. But right now, the recognition is going to remain at 34% to 66% for Lando Norris. But that was a real fun and big learning curve of a first race on F1 24 career mode. And to be honest, even though the handling does feel a bit odd, like I said, I actually did have a lot of fun with that. The management of the engine temperatures, the tires, and everything involved that's new in this career mode. And we've got so many new features away from the actual track action as well. It's yeah, it's such a different vibe to this time last year where we had no new features to talk about at all in any career mode. So I'm actually very excited to continue this series and what we can do on this game. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.